Let's talk facts. The Avengers are not coming. Who will keep the American people safe?
There's some big threat out there, and you are gonna help me stop it.
Wait, us?
Yeah, you. Why, you got someplace to be?
I love that guy.
So none of us can fly? So what, we all just punch and shoot?
I can't think of a worse group of people trying to work together.
Stop! Speed! John, stop!
Where were you?
Where are you?
Everyone here has done bad things. You can't escape the past. Hey, it's like your mind is somewhere else.
So you can do something about it now, or live with it forever.
This could get messy.
No shit. You thought you were gonna be some great saviors? You can't even save yourself.
We can't do this. No one here is a hero.
Yelena, when I look at you, I don't see your mistakes. That's why we need each other.
Okay, that was really good.
We are the Thunderbolts!
Can't call ourselves that.
God, thank you.
This has makings of team that can rise to glory. Bring light from the darkness. This team can be the heroes on the Wheaties box with a little giddy toy.
Alexei, have you slept?
I'll sleep when I'm dead.
I'd like not to die today, so maybe somebody else should be driving.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. Marvel dropped the Thunderbolts Superbowl trailer. There's a whole bunch of footage. We finally got our first look at Sentry. All we gotta do now is just convince Marvel to bring him back for World War Hulk. There's a bunch of new footage here, so we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. Obviously, the biggest new things in the trailer are a better look at the Avengers Tower. Like, you actually see what looks like the old Avengers Tower as Tony Stark owned it, and then Val redesigning it. Like, it's not completely redesigned yet. And, of course, Sentry in his full comic book costume. The way they light it, it's not like bright daylight, but you get a pretty good look at it. It's a slightly muted colors, like a darker yellow and a darker blue. We see some of his powers flying in the sky, destroying these helicopters, and then also shoving them out the window. Notice you get a little bit of voiceover from him, and it sounds really dark, like he's speaking with the voice of the Void. This is probably the way they're going to visualize it in the movie, where his personality very clearly changes, and then you see this darkness literally spreading over the city itself, like this dark cloud. But obviously there are a ton of references to the Avengers because this is setting up Dark Avengers like Thunderbolts. Notice the title at the end changes to the Avengers font, because the asterisk there probably means that they'll change the title to The Avengers by the end of the movie, like that'll be the team name. But just starting at the beginning of the trailer, it starts with footage of a view of New York City, because you're meant to see the new Avengers, like Val's Avengers Tower, in the backdrop of the city skyline. We see Val having some sort of hearing, maybe in Congress. She's talking about the Avengers not coming to save them. This might be using her OXC group and all of her resources to fund the creation of the Sentry. Like, this is probably her justifying all the crazy stuff that she does. She's basically trying to pitch the idea to all these people, try to make them afraid the Avengers aren't coming and these other terrible threats are out there, so we need something to protect us, which is probably how she justifies creating the Avengers and just calling them the new Avengers, but really they're more like the Dark Avengers from the comics. Notice she's also wearing white. That feels like a very calculated move on her part. But the reason why the Avengers aren't coming is because this is meant to take place around the time Captain America 4, Brave New World is taking place, and during that movie, in like the last big trailer, we actually saw Thunderbolt Ross telling Sam Wilson that he wants to recreate or reform the Avengers with him. So at the moment, present-day MCU, there is no Avengers team that is active, just people who used to be on the Avengers who are still alive, like Hulk and Thor, who are doing their own thing right now. There's like small pockets of people that are teaming up, but they don't consider themselves the Avengers, which we'll probably see eventually form, probably in some sort of post-credit scene for Captain America Brave New World. We'll see about that. I'm just expecting some sort of tease for Sam Wilson to start putting together a new Avengers team. But apparently that's not quick enough because Val is going to do it before he does. All this footage of the collateral damage around the city, New York City here, is around the new Avengers Tower. This is probably the Sentry when he's gone into full Void mode. Most of this trailer and the previous Thunderbolts trailers are aping the original Avengers trailer, and the big thing during that was the Battle of New York with the Chitauri Thanos attacking New York City, destroying most of the city. Now the reverse of that they're making here is that Val's Sentry that she created is the one that's doing all this damage, but really it's the Void personality of the Sentry. Notice while she's going on about this in this hearing, Bucky is watching her, really pissed off. He's probably been clocking her for a while now. We get a better look of how they're visualizing the Void. Notice this blackness just spreading over New York City. That is literally the Void from the comics, or at least the way they're doing it in live action. If you've ever watched Jujutsu Kaisen, it's a little bit like domain expansion. The Void's domain is expanding over New York City, encompassing it all. So it's kind of like the Thunderbolts are going to have to face the Sentry inside of his domain of the Void. We see Bucky, after he's taken out the limo and captured all of them, telling them that he's basically recruiting them to a team to stop what Val is doing with the Sentry. Love how Red Guardian is an absolute Winter Soldier stan. Like, that guy, he's so cool. That whole not super line in the trailer that they use is just meant to be a reference to them all being anti-heroes. Like, they're not heroes, technically, or superheroes by definition. Most people would view them as supervillains rather than heroes. This is Val in the back of her limousine with her assistant, who I think is meant to be a version of Songbird, just talking about how terrible all these Thunderbolts characters are. Like, can't even imagine them ever working together. This new scene of Yelena Belova inside the lab here seems like when she's stealing more stuff for Val as part of some big mission, or she's trying to find out more about what's going on with the Sentry, because this scene looks like all of them standing in a similar type of lab. Val's team comes to where she's created the Sentry, trying to kill all of them. Remember, it's meant to be a trap. She basically sends them all on a mission without telling them what they're supposed to be doing, other than rescuing this Sentry character, but she sends them there with the intention that she's going to self-destruct the base and then send in a bunch of her troops from the OXO group to kill anybody that survives. All because she wants to clean up any evidence of what she did to actually create the Sentry. But if you're making Avengers comps to this, it looks like during this scene, the "we have a Hulk" is Val saying, "we have a Hulk," and Sentry is that Hulk. Also winds up ripping his arm off again, for the second time at least. That was probably one of the coolest scenes from Falcon and Winter Soldier, where the Dora Milaje basically just disabled his arm. Oh yeah, by the way, we built in some security protocols to this so that you can't use this arm against us. Sentry doesn't care about any of that though, he just rips it right off. Now everybody's going to be worried about Red Guardian, though, getting thrown out that window. They could always have him survive in some big twist, but you can let me know in the comments if you think they kill him off during the events of the movie, because he does give that impassioned speech to Yelena Belova, making her feel better about herself, like the big pep talk, and usually that's what happens to characters before they wind up getting killed off. There are a couple more exterior shots of the new Avengers Tower up at the top. Like, a lot of this takes place up at that top level that you saw during the Avengers movie that Val has now redesigned. That big fight with the Sentry. But it's a little unclear what happens with the Void, because you see this black darkness just spreading over New York City, where clearly he's gone into full Void mode, but when he throws Red Guardian out the window, he also sounds like he's the Void, so maybe he throws him out the window, then things go dark over New York City as the Void begins to spread across the city. But that's meant to be the big irony of this movie, like the big twist on the Avengers. Like, Val has essentially visited this great darkness upon the world when she was trying to, quote-unquote, save it. Like, she was trying to justify doing all these terrible things, creating this terrible power in the Sentry to protect the Earth from even worse things out there. But she's really just wound up creating something that's even worse. Kevin Feige also did reference that mental health is a big theme of the movie, and part of the idea is that as messed up as Winter Soldier is with his PTSD from all of his Hydra programming, he's meant to be the most mentally stable character of all these Thunderbolts characters. So part of the idea, I think, is that Yelena Belova, all the other characters, feel like their lives are total crap and they're just spinning their wheels going nowhere, and they all wind up helping each other find some self-actualization and becoming an actual team by the end of the movie and helping to stop the threat of the Sentry and the Void. But one of the core conceits of the Sentry character is that he suffers from some serious mental conditions, some serious problems. So early theory, they aren't actually able to beat the Sentry in a fight or even the Void in a fight, depending on who you're talking about. There's no way they could actually clear him. He would absolutely liquefy anybody that came near him. So early theory, they wind up talk no jutsu saving the day by literally talking him down. Like if you're making more Hulk comps, sun's getting real low, buddy, where they talk him back down from Void status back to regular Sentry, Robert Reynolds. Just because when you're talking about characters like the Hulk or other characters on that power level, you don't really beat them, you just convince them to stop killing you. Then they wind up ending the trailer on that funny scene of Red Guardian back in the limo like earlier in the movie before Winter Soldier takes them down, talking about becoming heroes and winding up on the Wheaties box, just because that used to be a really, really big deal back in the day. They still do it, but it's just not quite as popular in big pop culture as it used to be. My early theory is that if they do want to kill off Red Guardian during the movie, he winds up feeling like he became a superhero, like he got what he wanted by the end of this movie. But hopefully he does find a way of surviving, like hopefully they do let him crawl out of this movie. And even though we have seen this footage before, during this last little montage of a bunch of different clips, when you see Winter Soldier use his vibranium arm to basically bounce this car up above these people to save them, it's just a good example of how powerful he actually is with his super soldier serum. Also doesn't hurt that his arm is made out of vibranium. If he still had his old Winter Soldier metal arm, it probably would have just been destroyed. Then I think this last clip of Yelena Belova helps explain the timeline of how this fight with the Void winds up going down. So you see all this debris, like Winter Soldier saves those people with his arm like I just said, but all this is going on while he's in the middle of turning into the Void and it's spreading over New York City. All because we see Yelena Belova walking through all this debris, like all these wrecked cars, into this shadow here. Gonna go have a little chat with the Void, see what he's doing right now. The whole thing with the Void is that he's just a creature of pure chaos, like pure destruction. So were they to not do anything to actually stop him, he would just wind up destroying the entire planet. Then it seems like the rest of the team walks into the Void after her, and this is them confronting Robert Reynolds in full Void mode, trying to talk him down. Sentry's real name is Robert Reynolds. He started out as a drug addict who was just down on his luck and broke into a lab where he thought he could find a score. He took what he thought was going to be drugs that were going to get him high, but it wound up giving him powers. It wound up being the Golden Sentry Serum, which was a derivative of the Super Soldier Serum, part of the Weapons Plus program. It gave him the power of 1,000,000 exploding suns. Like that version of the Super Soldier Serum was way more potent than the version that the other super soldiers on the Thunderbolts team got, or even Captain America got. But the process of getting all that power when he was already kind of broken mentally caused him to develop an alternate personality called the Void, who's a totally evil version of himself with an equal level of power, but different types of powers. So a lot of his backstory is similar to the backstory for Homelander and the other boys, superhero characters getting their powers from Compound V, but the whole pitch is that he's mentally very broken character. He's not mentally stable, so the whole idea is, what if Superman, but he's totally crazy, which is where you get to the Sentry in the MCU. Totally schizophrenic. He's a schizotypal personality disorder, not the same thing that Moon Knight suffers from, but similar. Both of them have alternate personalities, like Moon Knight has Mark Spector, Stephen Grant, we just met Jake Lockley at the end of that series, but he has something called dissociative identity disorder, which is different from what Sentry has. Soldier Boy is a good example, like he's the first version of the Compound V superheroes that they created. Eventually they refined the formula like they did for the Sentry, and Homelander winds up getting a much more potent version of it, becoming nigh invulnerable, the most powerful person on planet Earth. One of the other real big questions with Sentry's character is what they're going to do with him when it comes to Avengers 5. Like, how do they end the movie with the Sentry character? Robert Reynolds, is he still going to have his alternate persona? Like, how are they going to deal with the whole Void of it all? But I think something is going to happen to Sentry by the end of this movie that will basically take him off the board by the time we get to Avengers 5 Doomsday, so that he won't be a threat to Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom character or his evil Avengers. Just because if you think about it, Sentry is so OP, he would wipe the floor with pretty much anything that came to the MCU on that level. And it's not like Null is going to be on that evil Avengers team that Doctor Doom is putting together. So honestly, I'm not expecting to see a powered version of Sentry to show up in Avengers 5. But I don't think they're killing him off at the end of Thunderbolt, so I think something happens to basically nullify his powers. In the comics, there's the whole twist where Sentry basically causes the entire world to forget about him. They might use a twist on that idea to basically remove the Sentry's powers, so that he's still around as a character, and like technically he still has the powers, but he doesn't have them when Avengers 5 picks up. Maybe it winds up being similar to Thor's journey in the MCU, like the unworthy version of Thor, where like he doesn't think that he can actually lift his hammer. He doesn't think that he's worthy to be a superhero, but then eventually rallies and comes back in a real big way. So even if they do find a way to backburner the Sentry character at the end of this movie, just like put him on a shelf and then wait a couple years in some other future movie to bring him back, I think he will come back ultimately. Just because it does seem like they're using Captain America 4 Brave New World to build up to World War Hulk storyline, which Sentry would actually be great during, just because he fought Hulk during the original World War Hulk. That would actually be a really interesting matchup. But I think all the World War Hulk stuff that they're slowly setting up in the background isn't supposed to happen till after Secret Wars. Like, it's not meant to be a multiverse kind of thing. There's actually a lot of plot points I think that Marvel is setting up that they won't pay off till after Secret Wars right now. Like, not everything is building towards Avengers 5, and they're just using Avengers 5 and Avengers 6 to sort of wrap up all the crazy multiverse stuff that they have going on in the background that they haven't already resolved. There are a couple other new shots that they've actually released too. This is actually Val with her OXE group from the comics and one of her henchmen who you probably recognize from True Blood, probably a couple other things too. OXE in the comics is an evil organization, but they have a much more cosmic bent. I think in the MCU, they're basically just saying that they're like Val's version of, say, like a more evil version of BlackRock. Basically like a private contractor group that she uses for a lot of black box stuff and where all of her money comes from, like how she got the money to actually buy the Avengers Tower from Tony Stark, because it would be crazy expensive. Maybe like a slightly more evil version of S.H.I.E.L.D., but like not quite as big as S.H.I.E.L.D., because S.H.I.E.L.D. was actually funded by the government, and it seems like Val, as director of the CIA, probably uses government money for a lot of her shady stuff, but not quite in the same way that S.H.I.E.L.D. was directly tied to the US government. But there's a bunch of stuff going on during this footage. Everybody post all your reactions to the Sentry in the comments below. Let me know what you think goes down with the Void. Like, how do they actually stop the Void? Because that's very clearly what's going on during all this footage. We'll probably get a couple more trailers in the next couple of days. Hopefully we'll get some new Superman footage and some other Marvel trailers. Really hoping Marvel drops a brand new Daredevil trailer sometime soon. Marvel definitely likes to drop surprise trailers every once in a while, so be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss any of that stuff. Everybody click here for all my other Super Bowl trailer videos, and click here for all my brand new Fantastic Four videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.